Why you should delete dead code. Kevlin Henney. I'm Chris Nance. I'm a KMP developer. Tech Support said they're coming out for that on Tuesday. Yeah, right. Okay, so why you should delete dead code. I really like Kevlin Henney. He's really got the best takes of all the software architecture people. I haven't seen his code. I don't know if it's good or not. But like some of the stuff he talks about and how he talks about it is he's definitely been down in the pit and done time down there and has some. I think his takes are usually good. So let's see if he has what he has to say. I'll be the judge. What's that? I gotta get my stuff out of the way here. See, there's quotes over there. Okay.
The other thing is, you know what? The other thing is,
Okay.
you know
I didn't
what?
do anything.
You got to get rid of dead code.
I mean,
I gave a talk here 2 years ago, The Error of Our Ways. I had a whole section devoted to how much money has been lost through dead code.
I mean, we're told to write it, not delete it.
That I know of? Oh, billions. Pick a currency.
Oh yeah, yeah. The whole industry. It's all mostly dead code. Like man. So one of my first experiences of this is working at this software company and doing tech support. And you know, when you're in tech support, there's like set of calls you get in all the time, usually clustering around certain things that people are trying to do. At that time, you call in and ask for help about how to get something done, not just if you're having a bug or whatever. You could actually, the manual was there. We spent a lot of time on the manual, but we still had that tech support. And that was the company policy. It was like you could call in and get help. And we were supposed to try to help people as best I could over the phone without a screen share, which is like fun to do. But you do learn techniques about how to get people to like explain their problem, what they're trying to do, and then give them tips and like point them to because you should know the manual. And I did. I could point them to the manual where it's like, oh yeah, it's this section right here, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that was there. It's like, yeah, I know. Most people don't put it there, but we did it, so you can just do that. And yeah, so it was that type of thing. So, but I don't know where I went with that. Let's keep going.
Doesn't matter. Billions. Simply because of dead.
Oh yeah, so that's what I learned, that most of the people using these software tools aren't using all the deep corners of it. They're using like this top 20% layer, just the presets, just what's available right there in the front of them. Like 80% of the customers are doing that stuff. And if you focus in on that top percent, all this other special feature stuff. So all these guys would be in development. We're all talking about, I'm doing this other plugin thing over here, do this special DPI layer thing. And it's like, hey man, can we just fix the things that people complain about all the time? No, you understand this is going to be a revolutionary. It's like, no, they're just having problems with the like basic stuff, and they wouldn't believe me. Like, no man, like you should take calls with me. And they would of course refuse. Like, that's below us. It's like, well, after doing time for 2 years in that environment, I learned that all you really have to do is provide the 20% that people are doing. If you provide that stuff, the things people actually want, the 80% of your customers, that's what they're focused in on, that you usually don't say anything. They're just like, oh, you've solved the problem for me. Okay. If you focus in on that, you don't have to do all this other edge stuff. And you can really, have a small development team and go into a niche and just do the things that people are looking for, they've been asking for and been begging for. And you give them, he's like, instead of paying the guy that you're complaining about, pay me. I'm like, okay, this is how it works.
Code. So when somebody says, oh, that dead code, it doesn't matter. It'll never get executed. If it doesn't get executed, what's it doing there? It has no value.
But well, we have money. They have a lot of money invested in that code, right? Like we put $2 million in that code base. We're not deleting any of it. We spent $20,000 for Jim to those 6 lines. Cost us 20 grand. Like, we can't delete it now. Not in our moment of victory.
But there's always this thing. There's a kind of a developer arrogance. Oh, we don't need to worry about that. I know it will never get executed.
Now, I've heard this before. It's like, well, then why do we have it there? It's like, well, it may get executed. It's like, okay.
Do you know it, or do you just believe it? What happens if it's not actually, well, dead? What happens if you end up with the zombie apocalypse and it comes back to life? That's where rockets explode, where companies go out of business because they trade in the wrong way against the wrong model of the market.
Yeah, but I don't think that was because of the code laying around. That was because people trying to go too fast on tooling that's really not meant for doing what they were trying to do with it. So they could do a couple rounds of that stuff of what they're trying to do, going super fast. But with that tooling, that tool set, they were gonna eventually gonna screw up. Okay, so anybody trying to do what they were doing, it's trying to like build an actual bridge for out of Legos. That a car has to go over. It's like you scale it up. It's like a bike. Your little Toyota RC car goes over. That's fine. And put our bicycle over it. Just scale it up a little bit. Then you put a car over it. And then someone says, "Oh, put a car." And then you put a semi over it. Right? It's like, okay, well that falls over. So there's like certain like limitations built in to these, and the people were at this time when he was about the events he's talking about, people were taken to the limit with these things, and they weren't thinking about building better platforms that are testable, understandable, maintainable, extendable, encapsulated. Who cares? We have enough performance now? We don't have to go directly into the thing and have this static binding coupling problem. So all the stuff that we were building back then was based. We didn't have that concept yet. We had the pain. I haven't felt the pain yet. So we had to go through some of these episodes like, oh yeah, maybe we need to go redo these, and they haven't really been redone yet. There's still kind of like patches on top of stuff they were already doing way back when there hasn't been the revolution. It's like from the ground up, built up, so that everything's testable, extendable, maintainable, encapsulated. The stuff Alan Kay was talking about, Igor Buguyenko, and Alan Kay. Those are the guys, the stuff that they're talking about. Let's keep going.
There are so many stories about this.
By the way, this is in my course. I go over to this in my course, How to Program from the Ground Up, which is being the diddly do. It's free. I don't sell anything. There's no upgrade. There's no course. There's no mentorship. It's just all I want is a star if you like it.
Dead code has a value, and the value is negative. Yeah? It's not a hard thing to do. You don't even need strong refactoring tools.
I mean, that's a good way to look at it.
What you tend to find is culture and mindset. People, oh, well, we can't delete it because we don't know if anybody uses it. Now you've just told me something about how much you know about your code. You're basically saying we have.
I mean, how much do we do? Unless we got stuff in production that's monitoring it, each little line, every little thing that pops up. Unless we got monitors installed, how would you know about your code base? It's not just that one thing that's dead code. It's like, how would you know? And how much resources do we have? Do we have resources now that we can go and delete stuff and spend time doing that as opposed to doing a feature or going to another niche or trying to make a new product and just let this one go? And that's why one of the things I think happened with sexual reproduction was to get rid of parasites, because it'd be a whole new being that would be parasite free, supposedly. This is just one of the ideas about how we got to this reproduction thing. But these programs get crafty, and people don't want to give up that $1 million code base. They simply refuse and don't understand. If we build it again, it's not going to cost $1 million. It'll cost $100,000 that we can build it, so we can extend it out. And it won't cost all that, because that was just how much it cost, because we were dicking with product market fit at the same time when we were trying to build this other stuff. So something's going to give. And it was the other stuff, the testing and the maintainability. It's like we had to get the product market fit first. Now we're there. It's like, do we want to keep going for the product market fit, or do we want to keep limping along like Facebook is with their web app? Do we just keep limping along with what we got and try and do metaverse? it's like that's you can see this is like a hard decision to make. Do you hold on to the older technology and improve it, or do you leech onto something new and that we can rock it up to the top? This is a very difficult decision at scale.
No idea what's happening with our code. Our code is insecure because we don't know what it does. Our code
it's insecure for other reasons, not just because it's laying around crufty. But I mean, that's partly true. But he's a little bit of a horror story, but I kind of see where he's headed. But it's like, it's more like the culture of wanting to keep stuff around and update it when it was never designed or meant for that. It was just designed to get us to a technical hurdle, and that now we kind of like got a product market fit type of thing. And now we need to think about making it so we can have something that scales up and has maintainability and all that other extendability, understandability, all that stuff built into it. Not a cluster F of switching, swatching, pivoting back and forth into different niches and different customer bases. Like that's a mess. You can't clean it up. You can't fix it. You have to start over. I know people hate to hear that, but that is the best route often, and they just don't want to do it because we got $1 million in that code base.
It's unsafe because we don't know what it does. That is very telling. That's where we need to focus. So therefore, we don't need to just think about adding code I find very few books and very few blogs and very few discussions people ever talk about how they retire the code. They spend a lot of time talking about, oh,
Yeah, because it's like we just move on. Usually we don't retire it. We don't retire it. We just put it and not look at it and not run it anymore by starting another project. And that takes the same ideas, concepts, everything we have needed, even maybe some of the stuff we're doing back, and we started over with the new things with these things in mind. Because it's why are you spending time on that as opposed to building something that is built to do what you're asking it to do, where we can swap a module out, and when the module's swapped out, it's not dead code, it's swapped out.
Generate this, or we do this and we add this, and when you want to add this, and when you want to refactor this to add this, there's lots of addition. But life is made up of two ends. What is the natural life cycle of your code? Under what circumstances do you remove
Unknown. When you stop stuff on the internet, some of it's immortal. It just seems that I don't think you can kill it at this point. But like, what do you mean lives? Like executing, people spending money on servers to make it run somewhere, or some hobbyist sticking a floppy in that's been sitting on a shelf for 30 years? What does that even mean? I don't even know what that means.
Now, this is not a new idea.
And by the way, I love it. Dev Tools Made Simple. Go give him a like and subscribe. I love how he puts these screenshots, because I watched that original conference he's at. He's got all kinds of stuff. Kevlin's pretty good, but he introduced this these like code snippets, and I guess what is this? This is the Kotlin? No, this is could be Java. No, it's Kotlin, because of fun here. And it could be TypeScript, ID generative. It could be, I think it's Kotlin. Feels like Kotlin. It could be something else. But like, I love how it just random code snippets in the middle of the thing. All right, keep going.
We actually have it. You can see it in networking software. You can see it in network protocols. They have a time to live, TTL, so that dead packets don't dominate your network.
Right,
we have this in things that we build. This is not simply a consequence of life. Credit cards have expiry dates.
Right.
Sometimes it is a matter of life. Yogurt has an expiry date. You know? Unless you want to create new life, I suggest you respect it. But that's the point. We have this idea that everything has a life cycle.
Yeah, but it's a different thing. It's like, if you've been to a factory, there's like some places in the factory, there's some drawer somewhere, have some bolt wrench thing that people haven't used, but you need it for that machine over there because there's a custom part that was built by this guy that if you want to adjust the potentiometer on the thing, you have to use a special screw. There's like a lot of that stuff, a lot of that crufty junk. You just can't. And it's like, what do you need that machine? Well, we might need to boot it up or whatever. It's used in a process that we had to require for this other customer over here. It's like, can you upgrade that customer? It's like, well, we might need to, but you have to do the custom thing, the blow. It's like all that stuff.
Accept code. We're really bad at this. And we've kind of slowly but surely started acknowledging that this may be a thing. But that's just a little tag.
That's still not even really, it needs to be coming from the bottom to the operating system up. This whole deprecated modular, the whole thing which we're doing is this coupling. We're just trying to make it not so coupled, right? This is what we're trying to do. So it's easy to break one off and put another one in there, swap it in like a plug-in, right? And this is because we're still hacking on to this closed operating system thing, because it's not built that way from the bottom up. We need to rebuild it, like with Alan Kay, what he's talking about.
Not a philosophy. That's not we as a team have a process and a philosophy for how we retire code and how we retire features.
I've never been in a company once. It's always like, that's version 1. We're like, okay, we're gonna rewrite it, put it back up, and start a new one. I've been on so many projects like that. It's pretty much when they bring in and they say, well, okay, I want to do version 2 of this thing, or that we've done partially version 2, we're kind of stuck, we just got a few bugs to fix. It's like, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, death is a part of life. Death is a part of product development.
Yeah, so we just cut it off. Instead of trying to upgrade the being in space, we just say, okay, we're going to use that as a conceptual model for the next thing. And it goes a lot faster, way faster than the first time, because we're still, of all the things we've stated, the product market fit is sticking around. We have no idea what what customer wants. And this customer says this, and we got a big deal over here, there's a trade show over there. It's like all that stuff.
Projects don't worry about death. Products have to. That's a really important part, okay? In other words, if you have an entity It stays alive because the things that it is made of have a natural life cycle that is shorter. I am not the same person that I was when I was born, okay?
No.
I might share a few molecules, but mostly it's new.
So is Alan Kay's cellular model.
Disappointing. So we keep talking about incremental development. We need to talk a little more about decremental development.
Okay. I'm glad he talks about it, but it's really not. It's not the thing because of the way these operating systems and program just applications are set up. You can't change them on the fly. Not meant for that. Not meant for that. I mean, there used to be things you would change on the fly, but like the whole Alan Kay thing is you could change everything on the fly. It's like, well, and people just were like, no, that's too much. It's too much power. We need to keep them in a box. All right, give me a like and subscribe, and I'll leave the links to the Deedly Do.